Younger adults and women were more likely to experience some form of depression. Around 1 in 3, which is 32% of women aged 16 to 29 years, experiencing moderate to severe depressive symptoms compared to 20% of men of the same age.
So what do we think the difference is between the 20% to the 32% that's with women? Because that is a massive jump.
That's mad jump. I mean, you know, depression comes with taking on like a lot of mental stress, and I would kind of gather that, you know, women take on a lot more emotional and mental stress, and men are kind of more, I suppose, detached from.
And young people, I guess, because obviously it's stage 16 to 29.
Yeah, that's true. So they're at the same time as well, coming up in the world, so they're trying to find themselves, so they're quite sensitive to their environment. Yo, what's going on, people? Big up yourselves all the time and every time. Welcome back to another episode of Out of the Box podcast with myself, J Gold, and the two legends that I roll with. Boom.
Hey, what's good, guys? It's me, GNG News. If you're enjoying the content, don't forget to leave a like on this video. We are now into season 2. I am very gassed. Big shout out to the panel. Big shout out to Jay. Shout out to Ty. Take it away, my guy.
You know who it is, Manlike. Pick up the panel. Let's get into this video. I'm sure it's going to be a banger.
Boom. Season 2, episode 2, people. We're talking about Corona season.
Done.
Second episode that we're talking about is going to be based on mental health. And we know over the 2 years that mental health has been hit hard. With all these lockdowns and restrictions and new policies, people don't know where they're standing no more. People are just trying to survive in that. So, first of all, we'll start with this article from the Office of National Statistics. Starting with coronavirus and depression in adults, Great Britain, July to August 2021. Again, this is very, very recent. So, boom, boom, boom. Analysis of the proportion of adult population of Great Britain experiencing some form of depression in the summer of 2021, based on opinions and lifestyle surveys, include analysis by age, sex, and other characteristics and comparisons with the early 2021 through 2020 and pre-pandemic estimates. So, the first main thing, which is very disturbing, around 1 in 6 adults experienced some form of depression in the summer of 2021. Now, summertime is meant to be the time when everyone's free, up, happy, sunshine, energy.
Yeah, you got to remember, as much as everyone expended a lot of energy really quickly when they got let out.
Yeah,
true. You see what I'm saying? Everyone was like, woof, 100 miles an hour, 110 miles an hour. Yeah, and then all of a sudden, it's like it just depleted. You see what I'm saying?
Well, let's be fair. The date on this says summer 2021. Okay, we were in lockdown since what, 2022? Do you think anybody was feeling summer? Do you think anybody was really feeling being around people and all them sorts of things there? So I'm not surprised at all with this 17%. And I still think it's horrendous, to be fair, for people to feel like that and, you know, be trapped in that state of mind.
The rates of depressive symptoms peaked earlier in 2021 before falling to 17% at the end of March. That's 31st of March to 4th of April. Since then, levels have been largely stable.
Again, it begs the question, really? Do you think that?
That makes no sense to me. So, over the period of 21st of July to the 15th of August 2021, younger adults and women were more likely to experience some form of depression. Around 1 in 3, which is 32% of women aged 16 to 29 years, experiencing moderate to severe depressive symptoms compared to 20% of men of the same age.
So what do we think the difference is between the 20% to the 32% that's with women? Because that is a massive jump.
That's mad jump. I mean, you know, depression comes with taking on like a lot of mental stress, and I would kind of gather that, you know, women take on a lot more emotional and mental stress, and women and men are kind of more, I suppose, detached from.
And young people, I guess, because obviously it states 16 to 29.
Yeah, that's true. So they're at the same time as well, coming up in the world, so they're trying to find themselves, so they're quite sensitive to their environment.
And society now as well is very emotional. It's very, you know, compared to like, I'm only 28. Like it wasn't like that when I was growing up. We didn't have social media in your face 24/7, you know, and people being superficial. So I think that may come into play with it as well.
Yeah.
So disabled 36% and clinically extremely vulnerable adults, with 28%, were more likely to experience some form of depression than non-disabled 8% and non-CEV adults, which is 16%. So around 3 in 10, 29% of adults who reported being unable to afford an unexpected expense of £850 experienced some form of depression, compared to around 1 in 10, which is 11% of adults who were found to afford this expense. So that one, I'm not really, I don't know why they said £850 out of all the numbers, but I
think they just try to generalize it with a number, but that's probably due to the fact that a lot of people are going on furlough, losing jobs, and having to like readjust their financial situation because maybe they don't have as much access to funds anymore.
Okay, that makes sense. Unemployed adults, 31% were twice as likely to experience some form of depression than those who were unemployed or self-employed. So that's
self-explanatory, really, isn't it?
Yeah, self-explanatory. But that's I did talk before. It said twice as much. So that's a lot.
Yeah.
Around 1 in 4 adults living in the most deprived areas of England experience some form of depression. This compared to 1 in 8, which is 12%, of adults in the least deprived areas of England. And this one here, which is I think the main one, of adults experiencing some form of depression, almost 3/4, which is 74%, reported that the coronavirus pandemic was affecting their well-being. This compared to around 1 in 3 of adults with no or mild depressive symptoms.
So I put the question to the panel: have any of us felt affected throughout this coronavirus in any sort of way?
No, me personally, I'm with the 32% personally.
Yeah.
Like I've just got on with things. I've been alright.
I obviously key worker, so I cracked on. I worked every single day. I don't feel like it affected me in that way. Jay?
I definitely thought it affected me, 100%.
Yeah,
but I'm very good at managing like my emotions and mentality a lot of the time. So when it hit, obviously the first couple of days and that first couple of weeks, it was a whole change, it was a shifted change that number one I wasn't expecting, and number two I wasn't happy to make the change. So in that, you know, it did make me feel, what are these? Why? Where tear? But like I said, man, I'm very good at recovering from them type of situations and finding solutions.
Before we get into this one, guys, don't forget to go and check out last week's episode. And we are on season 2 right now. Go and subscribe to Outshare TV. Leave a like on this video if you've enjoyed this. And if you're not agreeing with our opinion, you thought that we missed something, you need something to say, go and hit the comment section down below.
Get in them comments now, people.
All that good stuff, man. All that good stuff.
Right, second article. Who wants to take it? Who wants to take it?
Yeah. So, Office for National Statistics. Shout out to Office for National Statistics. You can go and check this out for yourself.
Blog section.
In their blog section. Yeah. So this is mental health pandemic. Are we facing a mental health pandemic? So let's read more. So, depression is something that affects lots of us in Great Britain, with ONS data finding an estimated 1 in 5 adults saying that they experiences some form of depression during the coronavirus pandemic. This is concerning as this rate has doubled since the pre-pandemic rate. Obviously, that's self-explanatory, I believe, you know, before a pandemic and this whole crisis. Even though, guys, you can research it yourself, there was counts of coronavirus and scars for many years that you can research and look into yourself. Just as worryingly, due to restrictions and changes in health service use, people are now necessarily seeking medical help, with new data today showing that the number of GP diagnosed cases of adult depression has fallen at the start of the pandemic. This is in line with other non-COVID related conditions, which may be due to some people being reluctant to consult GPs during this time, or due to changes in the ways GPs appointments were being managed during the period. So what do you guys think?
Oh, makes no sense. It's a little falling. How does that even make sense when it's a little doubled?
Start again.
You said earlier, depression has fallen at the start of the pandemic.
Yep.
But then you said here, flipping
Depression rose.
double pre-pandemic rates. So before the pandemic, it shot up double now the pandemic's happened. But then it says, how can it say it's fallen, the depression, from the start of the pandemic? That don't make no sense.
I hear that. It is a bit mad, like, when you think about it, though. You know what I mean? Like, it is a bit worrying. Regardless, don't get me wrong, I understand what you're saying, where like certain lines of that don't really make sense in a way, but I still think it's something to worry about. Because especially where it came to the point where it's saying to the point where we mentioned the GPs and how they're managing appointments and stuff like that. Because there's some GPs still managing appointments the same way now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Since the start of the pandemic, you can't see a doctor for weeks, and when you do get to see a doctor, you don't actually see a doctor. You actually speak to them on the phone.
Yeah, I know people in my family that have had to do that for mental
health. You know what I mean?
So interesting cases of increasing cases of adult depression is making up to a larger percentage of overall doses by GPs than pre-pandemic. As a percentage of all diagnoses, depression in adults rose by 1.3 percentage points to 15.6% compared to the corresponding in 2019.
So
really?
I would say in 2019, the percentage of depression that was diagnosed was
15.6%.
It was 1.3% lower than what this is.
Oh, so it was 14.3%, and then it rose 1.3% because of the pandemic. I don't fully agree with that.
Definitely,
because I'm sure there's many other issues and worries, and like all the other people who deal with mental health and whatever else that have caused them to be concerned enough to want to consult their GP. I believe obviously the pandemic has played a big crucial part in it. But I think financial strain would be another one as well, because there's a lot of people who financially have been affected by the coronavirus, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So all ethnic groups saw a decrease in the number of depression diagnoses that was not evenly spread. The white ethnic group saw the biggest drop to 24% less. The Indian ethnic group saw the lowest as 13.8%. However, the Chinese ethnic group had the highest increase and was looking at depression diagnoses as a percentage of all diagnoses, increase of 4% in points. I can believe that because I've got friends that are Chinese that were attacked at the start of the pandemic for no reason. Like I think there was a lot of push towards, for example, Donald Trump, the Chinese virus, everything.
I'm not gonna lie. Certain words and certain phrases didn't help.
Certain buzz phrases were used, and I guess unintelligent people that don't understand resorted to acting like idiots towards people for no way at all. So I can understand why that would be the case. So insights come from new and experimental work based on the General Practice Extraction Services, the GPES, covering the pandemic period, the 23rd of March 2020 to the 31st of August 2020, and compares to a similar period in 2019. It is part of the ONS ongoing drive to provide better understanding of issues by complementing our existing statistics for traditional services by linking up and exploring with data sets for external sources such as NHS Digital. So how were adults feeling during the first few months in 2021? While this shows a picture of the pandemic throughout 2022, a key question is whether this high level of depression has continued into 2021. Before we read on, I don't think it would have done, because I think, I'm not saying like people are used to this now, but when you've been in this pandemic type situation for long enough, you kind of just learned, I believe a lot of people have just learned to roll with the punches and just
live with it.
I don't know, man. I would go the other way. I would think that maybe, like, I'll give an example of myself. So when I went to prison, in the first 4 months I was on remand, and I was sitting there every day thinking, how long have I got? When am I going to get out? When can I get back to my normal life? And because I didn't have a date or anything set, because you're sitting on remand waiting to go to court, you're going mad in your head. Now, if you're doing that and you're on remand for 2 years, you'll probably end up committing suicide before that. But when obviously I went court and they gave me my date and they said, boom, you got this long, I thought, cool. I know I've got to spend bare time, but I know at least I've got a freedom day where I can get out and do me. And I think what's happened is that people come into the pandemic and the government and the media propaganda have been telling them, look, there is a way out, just follow us. And I think a lot of people have been in a mindset where they think like, you know what, let's just firm it because we know there's a way out. But the longer it's got into it, I think a lot of people started giving up hope and went into even worse or deeper depression, or even more of a permanent, long-lasting kind of depression, knowing that there actually isn't no way out no more.
Yeah. But on the flip side of that, right, from my perspective, I tuned out the news, right? I had to be a key worker every day, and I just learned, this is my life. I am not going to be defeated by people telling me how to live my life. I will adhere to the rules like everybody else has to, but I am not going to be scared. So for me, by not listening and not looking at news and not surrounding myself in an environment like that, and probably because I've been a key worker and I've still been able to go out each and every single day, I sit on the opposite side of the fence to you, my guy. But it's all good for us to have these debates and have opposite opinions.
Fair, what you're saying is right, but what you're doing is complying. If you're agreeing to rules, and which are rules against human rights, then that means you're ending up complying, which is giving them more power to be able to.
I get what you mean, but then the thing is, like, what rules am I agreeing to, right? So when it comes to this pandemic, I'm a cyclist, right? I don't wear a mask. Even in my job, don't have to wear a mask.
But you said you agree to the rules. You were saying you agree to the rules. That's why I said that.
No, I mean, like, if I've got to keep someone, so like, for example, if I went into someone's house, yeah, and they were all like, 2 meters, all this stuff, I'll do it to make you feel good, yeah? I'll keep you at peace, but I won't go put myself in a situation where I would have to go agree to the rules. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So anyways, where was I? New analysts from 25,000 adults taking part in our opinions and lifestyle survey during the first few months of the 2021 suggests that it may indeed be the case. In June 2020, 19% of adults reported exercising some form of depression in a similar proportion seen later that year in November, but by lockdown of early 2021, this had risen to 21%. The reason for this increase are likely to be complex, with the effects being asked of staying at home during lockdown, high levels of anxiety due to coronavirus, alongside with seasonal bad weather, short daylight hours playing a part. Why are they not saying anything about pay? Why are they not saying anything about the financial situation? Because like me, I would personally think like bare people would be affected because you're on 80%, or you lost your job, or you can't feed your kids, or you can't go see someone. Because another thing, I don't want to go on a tangent. Another thing, I know people that because of the coronavirus, because they were separated from their children, because like they're with mom or they're with dad, they weren't able to see their kids. So that's another strain that then puts on people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, levels.
Levels were very high in younger adults, a group we know have been impacted by economics factors during the pandemic. Young women have particularly high rates, with over 4 in 10, 43% experiencing some form of depression in the first part of 2021. Symptoms of depression during the pandemic have been more likely to affect some sections of society more, including clinical, extremely vulnerable, disabled adults of lower incomes.
That's
Whoa.
I mean, the end bit is right, which is quite self-explanatory, but
Yep.
yeah, over 4 in 10 experiencing some form of depression in the first part of 221. I mean, how much has it got to now? And that's the thing, like, we normally see a graph that should show us over months, years, and all the
A
rest.
period of time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
The thing is, though, I also
feel
find
that-
with
I feel
mental
like the
health,
numbers would have gone up quite quickly within very, 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 very short time period.
I also feel with mental health as well, like with someone that has suffered from it, and many people have mental health. Not everybody is strong enough to actually go to a GP and say they have an issue or say they have a problem or want to talk. So I don't think the numbers are always going to be completely right, because some people are not even in a state to be able to feel confident enough to go and want to talk about you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So title says COVID lockdown had major impact on mental health. Yeah, this is from the BBC News. So it says lockdown had a major impact on the UK's mental health, including increased rates of suicidal thoughts, according to a new research. The study, led by the University of Glasgow, examined the effects of COVID-19 during the height of the pandemic. Certain groups are said to be particularly at risk, including young people and women. The Department of Health in England said it was increasing investment in mental health services. Let me stop there for a second. Do you think they put enough into mental health services?
Oh, definitely not.
No.
They're not even in the right places. They probably put it all in the wrong places.
They put it into charities.
There you go.
So
Okay.
a lot of this money went into mental health charities. Shouldn't it have gone to mental health workers, key workers, people who work first hand with vulnerable people, disabled people, people in all these different facets of disability?
I do reckon that they should. I think more money should go into the establishments of where they held like extremely.
So a lot of different
disabled people also.
So
I do think a lot more money needs to go into the establishments they actually stay in.
So certain people that I know at the start of lockdown who have severe disabilities weren't able to go to certain meetings just for mental health and well-being, where they all gather together, all different colors and creeds and different races of people of all different disabilities, just to talk and have them. I'm not going to say any names, but I know 2 people that died due to not being able to have any sort of help.
Well, first and foremost, I'm very sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
you know what
so
I mean?
that's all right. But rest in peace to them as well. But at the same time, my personal opinion, I think it's disgusting that a lot of people have been left in a situation where they felt abandoned.
Yeah. No, I hear that. All right. So I'll go from this publication is most detailed. Is the most detailed examination of how the UK's adult population coped during the first weeks of lockdown, when people were given strict orders to stay home. Researchers say public health measures like lockdowns are necessary to protect the general population, but warn they may have a profound and long-lasting effect on mental health and will extend beyond those who have been affected by the virus. The study, published in the British Journal of Psychiatry, looked at 3 blocks of time between March 31st and May 11th. Just over 3,000 adults in the UK were surveyed, and a range of mental health factors were considered, including depression, loneliness, suicide attempts, and self-harm. Like, that's crackers. Like, I do think that this is going to sound a bit mad, but I do think the number they might give out to the public might be a bit different from the actual number.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I reckon.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know what you two think on that, but I do think that sometimes
I always think these numbers and accounts, like back to my earlier point, I always think these numbers and accounts when it comes to suicide, mental health, and all these sort of issues, they can never give a defined number, because some people who attempted suicide, some people are still going through that right now.
Yeah.
And they're not going to come out and say about it, because they might be a middle-aged man, or they might be someone you don't even know. Same with people that self-harm. people normally confide in other people before they decide to go to a mental health professional because of feeling of judgment. Same with depression and loneliness. That can happen to anybody. I've known people that have run like 4-5 figure dollar businesses or whatever else, and they're clinically depressed, and due to shame, they don't want to come forward and put them feelings and emotions and opinions out there because of stigma and whatever else. So no, I never think these numbers are bang on or exactly right. It's always a guesstimate or an estimate, should I say.
Okay. All right. So the study found suicidal thoughts increased from 8% to 10%, and they were the highest among young adults, which are 18 to 29 years, between 18 and 29 years, rising from 12.5% to 14%. The researchers say that even though those are relatively small rises, they are significant because of the short period of time.
Exactly. I knew it.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a time period, isn't it?
Yeah, man. The majority of people did not report any suicidal thoughts, but this creeping rise over a very short period of time is a concern. And that is said by Professor Rory O'Connor, chair in health psychology at the University of Glasgow's Institute of Health and Wellbeing. Levels of anxiety decreased during the same period of time, but that relates to the past. He added that suicidal thoughts are about looking to the future. It suggests that the huge social and economic uncertainty associated with COVID-19 may be causing some people to feel hopeless. However, there is currently no evidence that the suicide rate is increasing. Thoughts?
Back to my earlier point, don't think it's being accounted for enough.
I concur.
All right. So 1 in 4 respondents experience at least a moderate level of depressive symptoms. Young people, women, individuals from more socially disadvantaged backgrounds, and those with a pre-existing mental health problem reported the worst mental health outcomes in the initial phase of national lockdown.
Yeah, because it's going to be the first time when it hits hard and you've got to deal with it. But like you're saying, you do get used to some elements of it, innit?
Accustomed. I believe you become accustomed to everything, innit?
So this is from NHS Digital, Mental Health of Children and Young People in England 2001. Wave 2, follow up on 2017 survey. So basically, summary is, these are the aims of what it is, basically, yeah? So they're comparing mental health between 2017 to 2021. The likelihood of a mental health disorder has been assessed against completion, and the strengths and difficulties questionnaire in both years in topic 1 by various demographics. Second aim is describing life during COVID-19 pandemic, which is topic 2, examines the circumstances and experiences of children and young people in February and March 2021 and the preceding month. That's covering COVID-19 infections and symptoms, feelings about social media use, family connectedness, family functioning, education, including mixed stage of schooling, access to resource and support for those with special education needs and disabilities, changes in circumstances, how lockdown and restrictions have affected young children and young people's lives, and seeking help for mental health concerns. And the third aim is to present more data, detailed data on mental health, circumstances and experiences of children and young people by ethnic groups during the coronavirus pandemic. And this states that the data will be broken down into gender, age bands, and all the rest of that.
Okay, so we'll go with there's some data, some of these things are the actual data that they found.
So these are some of the data that are found. First of all, rates of probable mental disorders have increased since 2017 in 6 to 16-year-olds from 1 in 9.
That's very worrying. At such a young age.
And the thing is,
1 in 6. It's gone from 1 in 9 to 1 in 6.
And the thing is, this is our future right here. These are the kids. Yeah. These are the things that we need to be invested in
nurturing.
The most. And where the ones getting affected the most. Hold
on 1 sec. Let me just quickly. Sorry,
and in 17, 19-year-olds, 1 in 10 to
1 in 6.
1 in 6. So that's risen a lot as well.
Yeah.
Rates in both groups remain similar between 2020 and 2021. So rates during the pandemic now is, I'm assuming when it says remain similar, the rates, that means they've gone up similarly and they're carrying on to go up similarly.
They've rose at the same sort of rate, yeah.
So 39.2% of 6 to 16-year-olds have had experienced deterioration in mental health since 2017, and 21.8% experienced improvement among seven. Wait, that's right. Yeah, so that's bad or good.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
That is. I think that's not good, man.
So it's gone from that to that, you mean?
Oh wait, so 32% of 66-year-olds had experienced deterioration in mental health since 2017, and 21.8% experienced improvement.
Oh,
so that still leaves 21, 31. That still leaves around like 18% though.
Yeah, that's still a big number.
Yeah.
So what are these funds being used for?
Yeah.
The proportion of children and young people with possible eating problems increased from 6.7 to 13% in 11.
Oh my God, that's more than double. That's more than double.
I blame social media.
44 to 58% from 17 to 19-year-olds. Problems with sleep on 3 or more nights of the previous 7 affected over the quarter. That's 28.7% from 6 to 10-year-olds. Over the third, 38% of 11 to 16-year-olds, and over half of 17 to 23-year-olds across all age groups.
Figures were much higher in those with a probable mental disorder, from 59.5, 74.2, and 86.7 respectively.
Yeah. So
that's not going to help at all, man.
Not at all.
They need their sleep, man.
Yeah. So if you want to look more into the mental health of children and young people, you can go straight onto this website here, NHS Digital. I would definitely recommend you to do that. 100%.
Yeah, man.
Out.
Hundreds.
Yes, guys. Thank you for coming back for another episode of Out of the Box podcast with myself, Jago. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the thing. Share it to your people. Let them know the damn thing. And love to you guys all the damn time.
Go and smash the notification bell, my people, so that you're involved in every single time that we upload new videos. Don't forget, we are on season 2. Big shout out to the panel. I've been GMG News. Thank you for watching. If you don't agree with my view, put it in the comment section down below.
Yeah, boy.
I'm basically gonna add to what they just basically said in it. But other than that, I really hope you enjoyed the episode. See you next week, hopefully. Well, I won't even say hopefully. See you next week, innit? Don't know. You know what I mean? You'll be back. Like, but listen, I hope you have a red button, notification bell, big up the panel. You know how we do. Man likes out.
Yeah.